If one cheater goes against 99 players, obviously they lose. But when do they start winning then? 20 to 80? 30 to 70? I decided to actually test this, and the answer is 30. Kinda. There's a lot of asterisks with that. Predictably, from 1 to 15 cheaters, they had no chance. They couldn't even leave the inner spawn room without Uber. Red team would also spam projectiles on the actual respawn points, so cheaters had to carefully stick to the walls just to not be in the respawn queue forever. But the front door was completely jammed, and there's nothing Blue can do. They tried coordinating multiple Ubers at once, but there's just way too much to deal with. It wasn't until 25 players that Blue could finally make some progress. With everyone on Sniper, they could now wipe out anyone within this sightline out of spawn. With this bit of space to work with, they swapped half their team to a mix of heavies, soldiers, and short circuit. Some snipers would continue to hold the sightline, while others would work on clearing out the sentries. This didn't pan out, since they simply couldn't do enough damage. But it proved to be a sound strategy, because with 32 players, it happened. From the little slice of space out the front door, it became enough room for an Uber to push out, then for the snipers to take more space, until Blue pushed the cart for the first time. And now, we're in the tunnel. It may seem like pushing tunnel is how Blue would eventually win, but after a few attempts, it became clear that this wasn't it. There was way too much spam, and Red has way more Ubers than Blue, so Red would just constantly Uber into the tunnel, stopping Blue from ever making any progress. How Blue won was taking the hill with snipers. They clear out the top left, and from there, lock down the rest of the first point, while the Blue power classes clear out the remaining holds and cap. From there, Blue rolls through the next 2 points. For a second, you have a few snipers watch the cross, and the rest of the team slowly takes roof and caps. Third, Blue can easily control this sightline, and caps with ease. But this is where there's a massive roadblock, and not because the last point on Badwater can't be overcome. The problem is what the players have nicknamed the Alamo. Yeah, they just all go engineer. To beat this, taking the upper area might help, since you gain extra angles to shoot the sentries, but practically, it's not possible. There are 2 ways to get upstairs. You either go from the front, or you have an NG telly. Going from the front was impossible, because the sentries blast you. With an NG telly, you could theoretically have players hold the area, then slowly teleport medics up there to then Uber push. But in practice, such coordination was not even close to possible. Plus, sentries can reach, and red players can spam into the door from multiple angles. An attempt was made to run multiple Ubers upstairs, but coordinating was simply impossible. So it was down to just brute forcing the sentries. Because of the short circuit spam, Ubering a demo wasn't viable. What eventually worked was 42 cheaters, going medic and heavy. 14 Ubers for 15 sentries, which still left survivors. 3 sentries survived, extending it into a 2-minute post-Uber fight, which required 4 more Ubers before Blue Team finally had control over the area. Capping the first point for the first time took 1 hour and 40 minutes. Overcoming the Alamo took 2 hours and 30 minutes. Finally, last basically played out like a normal game. Red was stacking NGs hard, so it was back to cheaters sweating their hardest to coordinate Uber pushes. It came down to a super close pub push where Blue barely lost. At this point, we had been playing for over 5 hours, so I called it close enough. So on Bad Water Attack, you need 42 cheaters, but not really, depending on how you feel about the Alamo. You could say 32 was the real answer. So, defense. A bootleg Alamo was attempted with 20 cheaters, but it got completely bulldozed. At 25, the cheaters started to notice that despite being so outnumbered, blue team could be slowed down quite a bit on second. So this was the strategy going forward. And it paid off. The cheaters won with just 34 players. Barely. Game starts. 4 engineers immediately set up on the roof. 2 sentries would watch the main path. 1 in the room at the back, and 1 to watch the yard. You have a demo watch the cart, 1 to hold the roof, and 1 to hold the back room. Rest of the team are a mix of heavies, medics, and snipers. The main path is a natural choke point that's easy for the 2 sentries and a few players to lock down, so Red focused on the only other way in. With pressure from 3 different directions, Blue basically had to Uber through this door. There were heavies on both sides, plus snipers taking advantage of this sightline, making it really hard for Blue to take any control. When Blue finally gets an Uber in, the wall hacks make it very easy for Red demos to sticky the doorway. Similarly, cheaters holding the back room were hard for Blue to fight, since with wall hacks, they can push or back up with perfect timing. That's on top of the difficult angle Blue fights from. Blue had 7.5 minutes to push second. Only at 2 minutes would Blue finally take control of the back room, then control over roof, but only 20 seconds left. Half the red team is still alive, next to the cart. So yeah, around 30 on either red or blue, which is what viewers predicted. I didn't want to ask viewers to download real cheats, so we made a basic server-side cheat. It has hitscan aimbot and wall hacks, but that's it. The map in game mode definitely has a huge impact. If there's interest, I could do another map.
Ownage.